I'm Richard, and I've always been a treasure hunter. From a young age, I was enchanted by stories of lost riches, hidden artifacts, and the thrill of discovery. My life revolved around maps, legends, and the tantalizing allure of the unknown. But it was one fateful day that changed my life forever when I stole the wrong person's treasure. The story began innocently enough. I was perusing a dusty antique store in a sleepy coastal town when I stumbled upon an old, tattered map. The shopkeeper, a wizened man with a crooked smile, claimed it led to the fabled Jewel of the Sea, a legendary gem said to possess otherworldly beauty and untold riches. The price for the map was surprisingly low, and greed got the best of me. I bought it without a second thought and set out on my adventure, fueled by the promise of untold wealth. The map led me to a remote island, shrouded in mist and surrounded by treacherous waters. With a hired boatman, I embarked on the perilous journey, determined to reach the island's hidden treasure. The island itself was a desolate place, with gnarled trees, jagged cliffs, and an eerie silence that hung heavily in the air. As we followed the map's cryptic instructions, we finally arrived at a cave entrance. It was an ominous, gaping maw in the rocky face of the island, and it seemed to beckon me closer. The boatman, a grizzled old sailor, refused to go any farther. He muttered warnings of curses and death before fleeing, leaving me to my fate. I stepped into the cave alone, armed with a lantern and an indomitable spirit. The air grew colder and more oppressive with every step, and I could feel eyes watching me from the shadows. The cave's walls were adorned with strange symbols and etchings, telling a story of ancient rituals and sacrifices. Deeper into the cave, I discovered a chamber bathed in an eerie bluish light. In the center of the room lay the Jewel of the Sea, suspended in a crystalline pedestal. It was even more magnificent than the legends had described, a mesmerizing, otherworldly gem that radiated beauty and power. My heart raced as I reached out to claim it. But as I touched the jewel, the chamber came alive with a haunting chorus of whispers. The voices seemed to come from the very walls, and they spoke in a language I couldn't understand. Panic coursed through me as I realized the gravity of my situation. This was no ordinary treasure. It was something ancient, something beyond my comprehension. As I tried to pull the gem from its pedestal, a sudden force pushed me back. I watched in horror as the jewel began to pulse with an ominous light. It was then that I felt a presence, something malevolent and ancient, awakening within the cave. The chamber seemed to close in around me, and the whispers grew louder, more insistent. With a deafening roar, the cave began to collapse, and I was trapped, my only escape cut off. The whispers grew into anguished wails, and I realized that I had unleashed a terrible curse. The very island itself seemed to be exacting its revenge. I don't know how I survived that cave-in, but I emerged battered and broken, with the Jewel of the Sea clutched in my hand. I had stolen the treasure, but it came at a great cost. My health deteriorated, and I became plagued by nightmares of the ancient presence that had cursed me. Desperate for answers, I sought out experts in the paranormal and the occult. They told me that the jewel was a relic of a long-lost civilization, one that had harnessed its power for nefarious purposes. The curse I had unleashed was not just a consequence of my actions, but a malevolent force seeking to reclaim what had been stolen. Haunted by the curse, I became a recluse, living in fear of the unseen presence that followed me wherever I went. My health deteriorated further, and I was tormented by visions of the past, of rituals and sacrifices, and of the pain and suffering caused by my greed. I realized that the only way to break the curse was to return the Jewel of the Sea to its rightful resting place. But that meant facing the treacherous waters and the island once more, and the malevolent force that dwelled there. With a heavy heart, and the weight of my actions bearing down on me, I returned to the island, this time accompanied by a group of experts in ancient rituals. Together, we reached the cave once more, and I placed the jewel back in its pedestal. As I did, the whispers ceased, and the malevolent presence receded. The cave remained still, and I knew that the curse had been lifted. I had returned the treasure to where it belonged, and in doing so, I had redeemed myself. But the experience had changed me. I had learned that there are some treasures that should never be sought, and some secrets that should remain buried. I left the island behind, a humbler man, haunted by the memory of the curse and the price of my greed.